The next day, Romulus met the girl that night in the olive grove, a distance outside their hut. He had almost forgotten about her until one night she entered his dream dancing, and he heard the words, "If you are patient, you will not have to compromise your hunger for the promise you have made." But the words sounded garbled, and though he'd heard them many times, he couldn't remember their origin. And what promise had he made? He just wanted to be like everyone else and have some fun, because he was like everyone, wasn't he? All day Laine observed as Romulus did his chores, tending to the flock and other animals, and at night when darkness came, and he seemed too tired to stand, he did not retreat back into the hut, but went near the cistern. Laine followed him into the olive grove, where the moon was big as a swollen goose, and there she heard a rustling, and the girl emerged from the grove. And there she was. She had dark skin and eyes and long hair tied back in a knot, and Laine thought she was pretty. Romulus and the girl sat by each other for a while. The girl brought a bottle, and they'd pass it between themselves, until Laine heard the noises, and made sure to keep guard outside. She still thought it was a bad idea, that she was a temptation to Romulus, making him lose his focus at this crucial time, but she could do nothing to stop it. He ignored her sheep noises, and he was already getting lost, and Laine thought she smelled the faint smell of Axe body spray. For Romulus, when they embraced each other, it seemed so natural and right, like slipping through the cracks of a great abyss. He could let things happen, let the natural sway of life take its course, stop all of his ambitions, just be with her, or at least he could find balance. Didn't he deserve to feel a little pleasure? She offered a nice distraction. They returned that night tired but exhilarated. "I love you," he had said to the girl. It was like he wanted someone to hold on to. Wasn't it right to love if you wanted to receive love? When we did not try to love, it seemed to make us ugly, and the town ugly, and the world ugly. But he did not have enough experience to know yet that he loved her. It was hope. "Okay," she said, "I'll probably make you my boyfriend." Romulus still wrote every night after his chores, meeting the girl in their special spot, and going the distance with everything, but he was wearing himself out. Laine could tell, and she seemed to sense what he was experiencing. Though he met the girl only after he'd made sure his writing was done, sometimes he felt himself rushing through it, repeating the same line over again, his mind on other things, and sometimes, when he was with her, it crossed his mind, maybe I don't have to work so hard. Maybe I can just stay here with her. And he was getting into the habit of drinking a lot. Maybe that's what self-sabotage was. 2 weeks went by and he heard nothing from her, and then she appeared one night. It was only 3 weeks since they'd first met. Laine overheard them through the vines. "I'm seeing other people," the girl said. They were all curled up afterwards, and Laine was keeping guard outside, and noticed the way the girl seemed to have her guard up. "I thought you knew that." Cities were different than small towns, and people had different values, even though it seemed to have taken him from his town of ease. Once upon a time there was a town of ease created in one man's mind. It was a place of plenty. Each year when the festival of the seed came about, it made the people dance through the streets even in the worst of weather. The villagers threw their coins to the skies, where the 7 generations of tightrope walkers went across the strings like drunken herons. They held the hats down to let them spill forth, and the festival goers tossed the coins upwards, refilling the hats from the streets below. Some coins fell back on the cobblestone and were pocketed by the string weavers and the sweet ice vendors. It was like he was trying to find some equilibrium. Like the town of ease was the peace of mind he was trying to get to. Even though it seemed to have taken him from his town of ease, his real joy was in his work. Having taken forever to get to this stage in her life, Laine was glad she had a strong enough grasp of what she believed in, even though she was bound to make mistakes. This way, she could regain her balance, and it didn't have to be the end of everything. She had a stronger foundation than she realized. Caught up in it all, so many people didn't seem to know whether they were coming or going, and Laine was one of them, except for her time on Roman Hill had seemed to help. Remus was always a blind spot for Romulus, just as Ashley was to Laine. It was like when they were young and Remus had tossed all of his prized drawings into the cistern until they grew damp and unrecognizable. Ashley had arranged the stickers on Laine's Rubik's Cube, pretending she had solved it. Romulus always forgave his brother, feeling bad that he was the one the prophet spoke highly of. Remus needed his chance to prove himself capable for his own merits, Romulus thought. He deserved that chance. Plus, Remus was his twin, the one who had traveled with him in the basket when they were found by Lupina, the she-wolf. 2 orphans alone in the world. Lug, Cuchulain's father. Lug's grandfather tossed Lug into the sea as an infant because of what a prophecy had said. It said that one day Lug would grow to overtake him. Laine thought that if Lug's grandfather had loved Lug instead of feared him, his grandson would have grown up to love him and also not to overtake him. That's how Romulus felt about the prophecy. People should get their chance to prove themselves, despite what some prophecy said. That night, Remus came in and knocked over Romulus's pigments, and laughed, flying onto the cot with the girl. Remus sometimes stayed the night at court, so Romulus never knew if he was going to be there or not, let alone what his day-to-day life in town was like, or if he was seeing anyone. Romulus ran out and slept in the stable that night, but their laughter followed him into his dream. Laine saw him twisting his head from side to side. This time she refused to budge from his side. She stood by him like a leech, and she felt what he was feeling. That night he had a strange dream about a wolf who howled to his brother the moon each night, trying to show him the sun he found. But Brother Moon, who, as it turned out, was the dark side of the moon, would not turn a cheek in Wolf's direction. Maybe I needed your cruelty, brother. I needed to decide for myself how to conquer my demons of self-inadequacy, and you helped me. I had to fight for my voice to be heard. I fought the sky each morning. I tore into it with my sleep-crusted eyes, and I met one day and then another. It was not all pain but pleasure too, because I realized that each time I dove, a barrier was breaking. Then I dove again. Some days it didn't seem to crack, but other days I felt it, the shiver of my soul quaking open. Have you felt that, brother? I knew I was not working for nothing, that my life had purpose. At night I licked my wounds, for there were so many. I laid them down as best I could. I bandaged myself. With my physical pains came mental sufferings too. One by one I laid them down. I put down the fear. Then death came. That's when I spun around in a full circle, and could not stop spinning. I spun and I wove and I tore. But the sad news was, I was tearing into myself. I didn't realize it except that I was stuck in emotions that would take me nowhere. I was not waking up or taking flight each day. I was no longer making small dents at my dreams. And that's when I met you, brother, the other side of myself. I did not realize the truth until it was time to change again or to sink as I sunk. You did not really give me the poison. I gave it to myself. I wallowed in it. I wanted to go where they went, the people who I loved, who died. I wanted to follow them, only to be near to them. I questioned everything I had believed in before. Independence, self-discovery, deciding for oneself, one's own fate. It was all irrelevant to my grief. Because although I had been alone before, now I was really alone. I backtracked for a long time. That's why I asked in the beginning, was it your poison that poisoned me, or was it by my own hand? My decision to start building came after a long depression. Then one day, I decided I was going to try once more to turn my life around. Thanks for watching my video, guys. I'll be back with another video next Wednesday. Until then, ciao!